Hello there and welcome to the video. Magnus Carlsen may have dropped out in the semi-final against Duda. He's not going to win the World Cup. But he showed us a fantastic game today in the battle for third place. I'm not sure really what third place means. It would have mattered if Magnus was in the final, then the third place match would indeed be for a spot in the candidates. But as it is, I think it's only for extra money. Maybe some kind of reserve spot, but Fedoseev would get it anyway. But so for Magnus, this is basically a free roll. You know, he has to play 2 games and he can have fun with it. And I think that showed today in his choice of opening at the d4, knight f6, c4, g6. So maybe he was intending to play the Grunfeld, but after h4, just like Svidler did against Shankland, he went for the King's Indian. So we already saw this h4 push, which was successfully used by Sam Shankland to beat Peter Svidler, and you can check out that game on my channel. I'll link to it in a card, as I usually try to do. And well, there isn't as much theory on this early h4 push, so in fact, after, let's see, normal moves, e4, knight c6, d5, knight e5, a maneuver you sometimes see in the same-ish, where black allows this d5, knight e5 stuff. And here, you can do that in this position, because the pawn is moved to h4. This means that if white were to go f4, we always have this g4 square for the knight. So the knight is actually quite safe at the moment on e5, bishop e2. And here black doesn't want to allow h5 because the bishop is protecting. So h5 is on the cards and Magnus takes it off the cards. And also secures this square for the knight again. If f4, knight g4. Bishop f4, and this was indeed a novelty. There were only a few games there in this line. Bishop g5 had been played by Adiban, but that was an online game. So, like I said, not a lot of theory here. So, we're basically playing chess. And Fedoseev goes knight f3, Magnus takes, and Fedoseev goes for pawn takes. If he takes with the bishop, I think black is pretty much fine with a control over the g4 square. White is unlikely to launch a big attack, so g takes f3 is preferred here by Fedoseev. We have c6 by Magnus, chipping away at the center, ct, ct, and king h7. He does not want to allow this straight for now. a4, and it seems like we're having an alpha zero competition. White is pushing both of his flank pawns, now h4, now a4, at the knight d7, a5. So, creative way here to play by Fedoseev. And probably the position is still, you know, dynamically equal, let's say that, around equal. Rook a3, trying to deploy the knight on the third rank, you know, protecting this. Maybe he has some option later in the game. Knight to e5, bishop to e3, and I guess the idea here is f4. And then in the future this could become useful. Could play rook g1, bishop d4, swing the rook over, for instance. So Magnus does not want to allow f4 and plays f4 himself. Now the bishop has to take, and bishop to d7. Now taking on e5 is out of the question. Bishop takes e5, and we have a great clamp on the dark squares. f4 is under control as well. So for now the bishop can't move, because then we will take on f3. So knight d1 is played to protect here. So now white is threatening to move the bishop. Maybe bishop back, maybe bishop e3, here, or even here, and then f4. And black is struggling. But Magnus had a very nice idea here. He sacked the exchange. Rook takes f4, a queen takes, and bishop h6. Notice the queen can't go back, so the queen has to go to the king side, where it does not have a lot of prospects. So queen g3, and again f4 is on the cards when white will be probably just close to winning, so queen to f8, blocking white from playing f4. I wonder if that was still a possibility, maybe sacking a pawn, but at the knight e3, Magnus eliminates that possibility. Plays bishop to f4, and notice how bad the queen is. Doesn't have a lot of squares. and there are a lot of bad pieces here for white. Rook c8 by Magnus, trying to use the c-file, and Fedoseev tries to block him, and we have a trade. Notice that we're also down a pawn. We're down the exchange and a pawn. But the blockade is super strong. The bishop and the knight. And these guys are not getting into the game. To get into the game, you need to get the king somehow out of the way. After queen c8, Fedoseev played c4. I'm wondering if he has time for king d2. Maybe that was a way to play, try to get the rook into the game and defend there. But he played c4. And now b5 by Magnus. Now we can't allow this, and we can't take because then the queen penetrates. So ab and ab. And here, white should probably play king f1. Does he have time for it? I think he has time for it. King f1, queen g1 here. He plays here, however. Maybe he didn't have time for it. So now Magnus is threatening to penetrate. So king f1, he wants to come here, but Magnus prevents it, and he plays queen to a2. So putting pressure on this bishop. So now the question is what to do for white. So he tries to attack the bishop, but then we see a very nice maneuver by Magnus, and I want to demonstrate that maneuver with an example. So we'll head over to this one, and this is white to play, and the pawns they're coming down the board. Black wants to make a queen here, and the way for white to win is to execute a ladder movement, and that's when you go down the ladder like this. This is a ladder movement. So you combine queen h7 is check, king goes to the corner, and then the next move on the ladder is usually an attack or some kind of Zugzwang. Here it's a Zugzwang, we can't move the pawn, it's pinned, the queen is pinning the pawn, so the king has to go back to b1. And then we repeat, king here, we could go here, but then a series of checks and the same thing happens. So king goes to the corner, so we'll just stick to this main line, pinning, goes back, we go down check to the corner, king a1, and we repeat. Rinse repeat until we get closer, and in this case when we get closer we have something that helps us, in this case queen to d1 mate, because we're covering this. So this is what we call a ladder movement. Important concept that can crop up every now and then, so you should be aware of it. Let's go back to the game, transition that. So this is what Magnus does here. Queen a1, check. Queen b2, Zugzwang or a threat. He tries to dislodge himself again, we come closer. And now the queen is better placed on d2 than on a2. So he didn't win any material, but the queen is just much better placed. And we kind of have a ridiculous Zugzwang here. White can hardly move a piece. I mean, where's the rook going? It's under attack. I'm not sure we take it, but okay, and then what? You can't go here, it's protected. Even if we went here and didn't take it, you go here, then what? This is protected. You can go here, but then what? You can go here. I can take it, but also then what? Same thing for the queen. Where to go? You know, you can't go here. If you go here, then what? So these pieces are stuck. The king is stuck protecting the bishop, and the knight can barely move. And if it moves, we can always force it back with queen c1. There might even be some kind of mate or something nasty. Like here, maybe just knight d3. Just looking at it now. If knight takes, then knight takes. How do you protect the bishop? You don't. You're getting mated. And well, what else can you do? And if you take this, you also get mated. Here, you have to go here. And might be a quicker mate. Well, yeah, might be a quicker mate. There is a quicker mate. So he can't move anything. So this is like a modern Zugzwang. What to do? In the end, he went for queen to g2. But then what? King g7, it's your move. Rook g1. Oh no, you doubled. Oh, you're not evil enough. You're the diet coke of evil. Only 1 calorie. You can't do anything. What? Look at this, king f8. It's like he's saying, what you gonna do? Bad boys. What you gonna do? What you gonna do when I come for you? Queen h1. So look at this fantastic maneuver by white, showing how much of a Zugzwang it is. All he could come up with was shuffling the queen and the rook. That's all he did in the last 3 moves. Shuffle the queen and the rook. So black plays e6, and this increases the scope of the bishop. If you take here, then the bishop could enter at some stage on this diagonal. If you take the other way like it did, then bishop f5. Now he increased the scope here. And again, white can't do anything. And Magnus is basically toying around with his opponent. King f7, rook g3, knight d7. And Fedoseev went rook g5, almost begging Magnus to finally take something. And he did. He took on g5 and played knight e5. But even after giving up the exchange, the Zugzwang remains. White can basically move nothing. So this is, if this game was played like several years ago, not several, like hundreds, in the 1900s, I mean, this would be a classic game. This would be the Zugzwang game, or what do you call it? The Immortal Zugzwang. It's fantastic stuff. I mean, white can't move anything. The knight is stuck. You can't go here, can't go here. Bishop is stuck, can't go here, can't go here. The king has to protect the bishop, it's stuck. So you can only move the queen, but where are you going to move it? You can go here, and then, oh no, taken. But I can go here, and then what? And once you start moving something, I mean, black can move in if he wants to. For instance, okay, let's try something. f4, you can just take it. Queen g2. Still you can't move anything. h4. King g1 here. And eventually we can move in. Win this, you take here, you take this. Just as an example. And Fedoseev, after 95, he simply resigned. So just a fantastic positional game. The modern Immortal Zugzwang game, definitely. Hope you enjoyed it, I really did. And hope to see you soon. Maybe we'll get a decisive game in the final tomorrow, and that will be our final World Cup video. But until then, see you later. Bye bye.